I'm gonna screen share real quick. Where is it? Let me move this out of the way. Can everybody see my screen? Carolyn, can you see that? Just this sheet, I show up with this. So everyone knows when you go and do a market analysis and see the house, we tend to leave and forget everything we saw. So I take down the person's name, telephone number. I have the deed with me, so I typically know whose info I need, what kind of heating system, you know, this is all the stuff that we all need to know, right? Like the age of the roof. Yeah, you know, sometimes we get wrapped up in conversations. Depending on the situation, I do have them sign off on the information. And then I take notes. So it's as many notes as I can while I'm walking through the house. And then I do, just so everybody is aware, I include a cleaning service as part of my services. I use Roger, that we've given everybody his telephone number at some point, I'm sure, Rogerio. They're really well priced, and I do it right before photos. I've been hired as soon as I've told that to people. I tell them I'm going to give them a complimentary clean. They're like, "You're hired. I'm going to cancel my next appointment." And then I just take notes on what needs to be cleaned. I tell them it's not getting ready for Christmas dinner. It is just doing a wipe down, doing the windows, refrigerator if it's needed, or, you know, I can ask them to do whatever. But so,
excuse me, do we have this form in our office forms?
Yep, this is going to be in the CMA link that we're gonna share with you. It's called CMA Tools. It's in Google Drive. Everyone should have access to this, whether you have a Gmail or not. And in that link, I'm looking at it now, if you can see my screen, is the Office Draft Keynote, the Office Draft PowerPoint. This is that sheet I just showed you guys. And then there's like other little stuff, extra CMA pages. A lot of them are just COVID-19 pages.
We're not gonna find it on .loop, do we?
No, not the market analysis draft.
No, I mean the Max 360 page which you just showed to us.
This one,
yeah,
is in that Google Drive link.
Okay.
So you can download it right from here to your desktop, and then if you ever need any edits to it, I think we can convert it to a Word doc for you if you needed to change anything about it.
Okay, thank you.
So that link was shared under chat. So if you guys can see the chat bar at the bottom, the link should be there.
And I told people to email me if they want.
And Carolyn's here now with me, and she said, please email her or reach out to her if you're having any issues during the class. So what I'm just going to do, just so everyone knows how this is going to go, is I'm going to present my CMA as, you know, kind of as if, I'll probably get a little off track a little bit, but as if I'm just sitting with a seller. And then I'm going to go over the draft with everybody and kind of how to make it your own, the resume page, the reviews. And then we're going to go over the first half of the market analysis, which is, you'll see when I present it, which is more like about the house section. We're not going to comp it today, and we're not going to do the comping pages. This class will be 6 hours.
What's the PowerPoint?
It's the PowerPoint says Office Draft #1, and then it says PowerPoint. There's a P.
Yeah, there's one.
This one.
Office Draft PowerPoint is Office Draft Keynote.
This one should be PowerPoint, the P.
I understand, but are they the same thing?
Oh, PowerPoint would be if you have a PC,
Okay.
but you have a Macintosh. So you really just need, assuming you have Keynote on your,
I'm sorry.
anyway, what's great about these is they are printable, but I sit on my computer and I present it just as I'm going to show you guys now. So I have 2 different ones. I think I'll just do this one. Can you see? No, you guys can't see that. That bar is always in my way. Let me shrink this down. So I'm sitting with my seller, and I walked around the house. I filled in my sheet that says, what kind of heating system, all the information about the house. And then I come to the point where I'm sitting with them. And I said, well, I have a presentation, and this really is a presentation. This isn't really something I want to just hand to the seller, because there's a lot of pictures and it wouldn't really make sense if I didn't present it. So my main photo is of Lynn. The draft is just of the Remax balloon. So you can customize what you want the picture to be. If anybody does work the Lynn market, they're welcome to this photo. I run a team, as you guys know. So I have a team photo with all of our names here in the office telephone number on the draft. Let me just skip over that, as if I should be talking as if I'm presenting this. Here's my resume page, just different certifications that I have in real estate. I am a CRS. I'm a buyer accredited buyer representative, a seller specialist, and I do have my luxury specialist with Remax, some of the awards, and then just some of the team awards. I honestly skim over that page. I usually get embarrassed at that page and skip over it. I'm trying to stop at it and talk about it a little bit more. This is a very new page that I just created for this actual class because I thought it was important to have a office resume page. So it's hopefully we'll make this page a little bit more attractive in time, but that we do have, I think this is a super selling point. We have 6 locations. We actually have 90 plus agents.
Will this be in the Google Drive at some point?
This draft, there's a draft of this that is in the Google Drive, but we'll get there next. I'm just going to go through what the whole presentation is and then we'll keep going. We do have many languages. I'm still trying to find out if we have any more languages in the office, and that we're the #1 brand in Peabody, the #1 office in Gloucester, the #1 brand in office in Lynn. And actually the sold volume is edited, I believe, on the draft, but I think we did 350 plus thousand in volume last year and over 700 transactions. My numbers are a little off. I'm a Diamond Team Award winner. So here's your public record. I tell my seller that all the information that I'm bringing today, everybody has access to it. It's all public record. But what I like to do is pull everything I can, and then we can get together to a number and see, sometimes the information can be off. It looks like here today, you are 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms. You have 6 rooms. You built in 1960. Everything here looks like it's pretty right on. You're assessed at 332. So this house actually just sold, and I sat with him in the living room. Nice guy. I think it was social distance, so it was very hard for him to see the screen, but it was all fine. So this is from Patriot Properties. It just shows I don't know if you can see my cursor, probably not. So the building permits, we'd like to see that everything's closed out. Patriot Properties probably refreshes once every 6 months or, once a year, who knows? So even if it didn't say closed, I wouldn't be alarmed, but we would just want to get in front of this. And we can tell here that they had an addition put on the back, which when I was in the house, I could see. So he was, the seller likes to talk about it, and they're very happy that I'm bringing up these points. And it breaks down where the square footage of the house is. Maybe if I make this here, can you see my cursor now?
Yeah.
I'm gonna show it like this so I can actually show you with my cursor.
Yes, it's
So
visible.
here is the finished area. This shows on Patriot Properties. Here's on your draft, you guys will have this. Here's all the shortcuts, and I say it to them in the moment. When you're taking a look at this later, this is all the shortcuts, which can tell you the meaning of the words. BMT is basement, FFL is first floor. It just shows where you're getting all your legal square footage. Sometimes people think their house is larger than it is, as we all know, because of a pitched roof or something. This is where I was talking about with the permits. It was closed out, which is great to see. If it didn't say closed, maybe I would pull the jacket with City Hall.
So
And this just shows
Katie,
when, yes.
one question. So this page that you are showing now, this is something that you created from.
Yes. So
Patriot
what I'm going to,
Properties.
yep. So what
Okay.
I'm going to do right now is present the whole CMA, and then I'm going to break
Okay.
down and show you guys where I got everything. So
Good.
this
Are
is
you
from
gonna
Pa-
have a template like that we could fill it in or not?
The template, even though it's in-
Yep, so the office draft is in that link, and it looks something
Okay.
like this. So it's empty.
All right,
So I'm
thank you.
right now, because to dive into it slowly, page by page, I kind of want everyone to see the whole presentation first.
Thank you, thank you.
And then we're gonna take a look at the office draft and what's included in the draft. And then we'll find out, well, what do we have to go and create? So you can create a resume page that will always be in your draft. You only have to create it once, versus these public record pages like this one. This comes from the Patriot Properties. So when I'm sitting with the seller, I think I'll just go through the whole presentation first, so you can kind of get a feeling of what this is. And then from there, we can build it, and I'll tell everybody where I got everything and how to screenshot it to get it into the presentation. So this photo is from Patriot Properties. I usually don't say that to the seller, but just for the sake of talking a little bit in depth per page. And everyone knows that this is the plots of the house that the city will come out and measure the deck, the house, and this is that right here. So what I like to say to my seller is, what I'm looking for here is, do you have this addition or large deck in the back that looks brand new, but it's not reflected here? Well, maybe there wasn't a permit pulled. We want to make sure that there's going to be no issues in your sale. when we do
Can I ask a question?
go live. Yes.
What's the conversation look like when you said there's a deck that wasn't permitted or a kitchen?
Are you,
or-
can everybody hear you? Are you?
Okay. So I have oh, that's weird.
So my question is, what's the conversation look like when you're doing this and you're in front of them, you're like, oh, your kitchen is beautiful, but I see no permits were pulled, or your basement's refinished, I see no permits, your deck
So I
is.
never, so the answer, so these only refresh not all the time. So it doesn't necessarily mean a permit wasn't pulled, but I'll say, oh, the kitchen looks beautiful. Do you happen to know if you pulled a permit? I never accuse anybody of doing
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
and sometimes they don't even know if a permit was pulled because maybe that like their contractor was supposed to pull it. So it's never, oh, I see that. It's just, a lot of, I have seen this with not saying closed, but pull the jacket and it was indeed closed.
Gotcha.
So it's
The
just,
conversation is curiosity.
so the
Yes.
fact of the matter, if I'm going to be honest, is I'm just trying to present more than the next person. I just want to be more valuable with more information to put in front of them. I've had people hold up my CMA and say, this is why I'm hiring you. Everybody else didn't show up with something.
Yeah.
You showed up prepared.
Yeah.
So that's it. So when I'm presenting this, and I totally encourage if you're not comfortable with any of these pages, don't use them because you have to be comfortable doing the presentation. So if your pages are just the comp pages, then just use the comp pages. This is just what I do, and I want to share it with everybody, and you're welcome to do it too. But by all means, so just to keep on moving. So this, I like to say, oh, the reason why I like to look at this, I give them a reason. My reason typically is I'm looking if maybe you have a deck, but it's not reflected here. Well, we just want to make sure that that something's not going to come up later. This is the deed. So I always want to look at the deed and see who can sell the house. Now, in this situation, I already knew that they had passed and that the son had the right to sell the house. He had 7 siblings and they had already gone through probate. I had known this going into it. But what we do look for is here, I like to look for a plot plan. So ironically, this plot plan does not match the one that we found, but we have to work with what we have. But this is a plot plan of East Park. Fall Street and Harvest don't connect that way. So this plot plan confuses me, but I kind of breezed over it. The seller didn't notice. That is their plot right here on Harvest. But Alden is in the middle of this and there's way more houses in this. So it's a little confusing. If anyone knows where Fall Street is and East Park on Lynn and where Harvest is, this doesn't quite make sense to me, but so Google Maps, I like to walk. So I get to this page, I say, I like to look at the house on Google because let's face it, it's 2021. A lot of people will Google where the house is. And what I'm looking for is a body of water. If they're going to worry about a flood zone, are you near a park and such like that. This house, I've edited this since. It looks like there's a garage that comes with the house right here, which did not come with a house. So I had edited it before I resent it to him. But here's the driveway here. So long story longer, I thought that this house came with a 1-car garage, which it did not. So well, of course we had to alter the pricing a little bit. And then we go over to all of our maps. This is just the flood maps. I like to essentially I like to scare people that I know that people are scared of flood zones. And I like to show people that you're not near a flood zone. Type of comments is usually what I do. To be honest, I show them the topography just to show them if there's something that looks like wetlands or depending on where you are, especially as you get up north, there's a lot of wetlands or there's, oh, I thought that was my screen. I'm so sorry. Sometimes there's contour lines, which indicate ledge. Maybe I can show a second CMA that I've done later that does show a little bit more interesting stuff with the topography. If you ever do find that you're anywhere near a flood zone, please contact Christine Doyle in our office because she can run what flood insurance, if there is any required, what it would be, and you can put it right into your analysis, which has happened in the past with me. So Zillow, Realtor Redfin, I like to always address this in my CMA. I used to just do Zillow, but now I'm adding Realtor and Redfin because they've come up. This house did not have a Realtor.com estimate, but it did have Zillow and Redfin. So I always plop them in. And basically what I'm saying is I'm just addressing the fact that this is just an auto-generated number that even my own tool on my Facebook does the same thing. And I can alter if it's up or lower by 10, 20%, 5% up, to try to get people to use me over. And that's what Redfin does. They usually are a little bit higher than everybody else. And that's just their algorithm. They specifically do that. And I think the big thing that sellers, in my perspective, when I tell them Zillow is a competitor, last I heard in Lynn, a phone call was $100. So they are charging agents to advertise on their back. So it's not a real thing. If you call Zillow, you're not getting a listing agent. And a lot of times the sellers will go, what? Wow, I didn't know that. And so this page is just to get past the Zestimate, because everybody looks at their Zestimate. And I just want us to, move past that that's not the real number here, which it wasn't the real number. This seller was cool about it. This is just a pricing your property accurately. I've removed this verbiage moving forward, but the chart's still there. So this is getting into the pricing. So for those of you that have IMAX, I use IMAX. I like to pop in a couple charts. The two charts I always use no matter what are number of active listings per single family in the specific city. And then I like to always put in average sale price. Look at that. You can see the real estate bubble and where we are now. Lynn, if anyone ever sells in Lynn charts are amazing. It's a clear trajectory of low inventory, high prices. It is like these charts, whenever you sell in Lynn, are just so clear. And we break them down by quarter, where the average listing price is. And I think the fourth quarter, we were at 420 on average for a sale price, 440 in the third quarter. So it's pretty good. So this is just saying for any, and what I like to say at these pages is this pulls directly from the MLS. So this is not a private sale, but anything that has gone live, this is the number of active single family. So these charts don't lie. So if we can break this down by month. Let's just say they bought in 2016, and it literally breaks the chart down by month, and it shows them if they bought it for 200, and it'll show them on average the value's gone up 100. Then they know they can kind of figure out their value right here on their own. These charts have been super helpful for me. Just to touch a little bit about IMAX, that you have to be a member of IMAX and subscribe, and there is a monthly fee. Mitch is right next to me. He said, do it. A lot of us agents that were with Advantage do have it.
Nobody else has this stuff.
Nobody has these, and there's so many charts. There's price band charts. There's these two I always use, but I tend to, especially if I have the time, I'll put 2 or 3 more charts in. If you know the person's analytical you're sitting with, these charts are just a winner. So that would be, Carol, maybe we can get them Terry Sullivan's email address or telephone number, and that's who you want to talk to about IMAX. So here are my comping pages. Currently, I am using Cloud CMA on MLS. And what I do is I use the map page. If any of you have ever used it, I've used the side-by-side comparison pages with the property, not without. And then I use the pages that show the house and the photos. So I actually have to download the Cloud CMA, and then I have to go back in and then re-download it a second time, because I like to use the side-by-side comparisons, but I also like to use the photos, and you can't have both. You have to pick one or the other. So I actually download it twice, or Colby. So here are my comps. I tell the seller, at the end of the day, your house is going to sell. You're going to list the house, it's going to sell, but chances is it's not a cash buyer. So, the appraiser is going to come out, and none of us know who the appraiser is, and they're going to start at the house, and they're going to circle out, and they're going to want to stay within the neighborhood, and they're going to want to find 3 to 5, 6 comparables. And a comparable, as we all know, has to be same style house. I say this to the seller, I don't put it in the CMA. Same style house, same square foot, similar bedroom and bathroom, similar lot size on a similar street. They essentially want your exact house right next door that just sold within 6 months, but that's not going to happen. So we have to do the best we can to find the best comparables, and we can't ignore any, because you can't just push aside a low comparable because you just don't want it. You have to justify, because they have a lot of people looking after their work. So we have to be realistic on what the number is. So I was able to find a lot of comparables here, obviously, right within the neighborhood on the same side of Eastern Ave. And here they are. So we like to put arrows, because it's pages like, whoa, like where do your eyes go, right? So I have arrows that show to the sold price, and you'll see the sold prices fluctuate. This one here on Alden is the highest comparable. I circled the fact that it had a pretty big lot, and I like to put an arrow to the square feet. So 1,311, I want to stay somewhere like very close. There's no garage, 2-car parking. I would differ. It might even be, sorry, not 2-car parking, 2 bath, 3 bedrooms. I was just gonna say that I think it's 1 car parking. I don't know why I just said 2. So this house obviously has 2 garages. Well, they, as we all know, it's about 10,000 per garage spot. I see in the Lynn Market. For the bathroom, you'd gain a little value there. 1 car garage, you'd lose a little value there. And I say this to the seller, I walk through it. So, and because they'll say, oh, what about that house 3 houses down? I always like to make sure I'm not missing any crazy large house right next door. I do look at separate, but these are the best comps, but I always make sure I'm not missing one that the seller is going to say, hey, what about that one? Falls Street, I think I had listed this house and then I lost it because it just fell apart twice, not by our fault, but the seller just really had a hard time and someone else ended up selling it, or maybe it was this one. But these are great comparables. Again, and then we just talked through them. The seller really didn't, like, to be honest, the seller was like, I trust you. Just tell me what to list it at. You're hired. Like, he was kind of an easygoing guy, but I still go through the motions. And then, I let him know, because he didn't care to really look at each set of photos with me. Some sellers want to sit next to you and really snuggle in on your computer and look at all this. And where others just, I'm leaving this behind. You can take a look at the photos of each later. And if you have any questions, so I'm just going to skip down. There's a few more pages in the Cloud CMA that I like to pull in, which is a summary of comparables. This just really shows the square foot, right? That shows how we all know that this can be altered a little bit by an agent. The year built, that's important. We want a similar year built. Everything over there is a similar year
Quick
built.
question.
Yes.
The summaries are from
Cloud
your,
CMA and the MLS.
yeah, and then the other pictures you skipped over, were they just details
are
of the
of
other
each
properties?
comparable,
Cool.
yep.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
It's the listing that
Yep.
was pulled over with just the top. Can we mute so I can hear myself echoing? The top photos. It won't show all of them. Here is another just comparables of the solds. And then this is just another breakdown. This is more for chart people. Sometimes Cloud CMA will pull a Zillow chart over and it will show the Zestimate versus the sold price. And then sometimes it doesn't. I don't really understand if they got rid of it or what. Long story longer, 380 to 400. The value probably could have been higher, but the house needed a lot of love. It had needed a new roof. It just was, I didn't know if it was going to pass FHA because of the peeling paint. Did someone say anything?
Question from Claire.
Go ahead.
It's up on the screen there. How many comps do you use?
So I try to use, Colby, correct me if I'm exaggerating, like 6 to 9 comparables. And that's not confident, or in like the seller's attitude, not even confident in my number, but sometimes you just don't know what type of seller you're going to be sitting with. And I want to show them all day long. I have 9 comparables. I don't like, so these comparable charts, just so everybody knows, is 3 by 3. So I like to do 3 sheets at max, which would be 9. If I can get it down to 6, that's great. This one's pretty easy because there's so many right in this little neighborhood. But you can imagine in other towns and cities, you don't have that many in like Marblehead that sell in one small area. So it just depends on if I really feel like I have to prove my number to the seller, I'll use more, just to be like, no, look at all these. But if using more hurts my point, I'll use less, if that makes any sense at all. Does that kind of answer it? I hope that wasn't too vague.
No, it's great.
But how did you add the subject property to that chart?
So that would be, we'll go over that in the next class. That is in the Cloud MLS. You add your subject property there and it pulls from public record, and then you have to correct the info. Sometimes it doesn't add the garage if there is one, or it says sometimes it misinforms a little bit. You have to edit a little bit, but
It usually misses a half bath.
it does,
It's-
right, Colby? So we
it's
can show everybody
infamous
how
for
to
it.
change. Yeah, sometimes it will show the comparable properties having 2 full bath when it's really 1.5 bath. And there's a difference there. Like, and I, to that point, sometimes I like to even point out that it pulls wrong, because God forbid I'm up against somebody that uses Cloud CMA on MLS. I want to point out that I am in the know, that I know that it pulls wrong and I've fixed it. So, I don't know who uses it and who doesn't use it, but just in case it is a little flawed at times. You do have to double check your work. So here is my price range. Usually my range is bigger than this just to protect myself. And I try to stay on a lower number because let's face it, all the sellers want to sell 30,000 over your high number.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it in a reasonable, and the goal here is this is a seller's market. You're going to list, you're going to sell, the buyers are going to pay. I try to say all this stuff. So in the draft CMA, this page has been removed, but it is in that Google Drive link, just because this is really up to the person, how they like to do their, you can customize your own COVID page on how you prefer to do COVID. At this time of this sheet, it was like the height of COVID. Never did I have more than 10 people in the house at a time. I always wiped down the house. This was a vacant house, so it was pretty easy. And then this is just another COVID page. I had these printed and laminated as well. I was trying, I don't know about anybody else, but I was super worried to hosting open houses during COVID. No one really set real rules. And I was so afraid someone was gonna come in and tell me I was like under arrest or something for having a regular open house and not doing scheduled appointments. So here is my, this is the first page that usually comes after your price valuation page, which is, so I've already gotten to the number with the person. I said, all right, here's the number. Before this page, I usually say to the seller, what do you think your home's, what do you think the house is worth? And so a lot of times, and I'll know the page is coming. And they'll say, oh, I think it's worth this. This guy was like, I want you to tell me, I trust you. You're hired. So I was lucky on this one, but I was like, at the time, I think I had said 369. I was low. And then before we went live, we upped it to 389 and then we sold at 410. And he was fine with 369. He was comfortable with it.
I have a question. Do you ever talk to them when you're showing that price range?
Yep.
Do you chat about the idea of like I'll call it sometimes a value price that is going to get us to get a lot of activity with the expectation of over asking? And why that helps you, because we want to get a lot of people to smell, see, and feel.
The echoing. So I think my style, everybody has a different style, is if I feel like I have them on the hook, I just leave it at that and I don't get into it too much. But if I'm not sure if they're, a lot of sellers do want the high number, right? Oh, well, I was thinking 520. The house down the street sold for this. I'm like, well, I know that house because I usually try to look it up. That's a colonial, you're a bungalow, you're 2 bedrooms, they're 4 bedrooms. Like I try to go into it, but here's the goal. If you want that number, some people don't want to sell unless they get this number. And then it's, well, I cannot guarantee anything is always the answer, but I think a strategy would be to find your value and list right under it. And then hopefully, and then you're hoping to drive the number up. Because if you go over, you're going to lose more with the number driving down. That's what I prefer to say.
Sometimes I'll even say like, at this number we're talking with the expectation of getting more. Would you accept this? Not that I want you to. And if they say yes, I say, well, then that's the price to list at because the expectation is we're going to go higher.
Yeah.
And if you go too high, you're going to lose it.
Can we mute? I'm hearing echoing. Okay. No, I can't say that I do have those conversations, but I think it's smart for you to have those. It's just not my style to get into that, I guess.
Yeah.
But
And I do it as
I do it. I call it as I see it.
no, I think that for me, and this is the thing, like no one's a good Katie DiVigilio but me. Like no one's a good Mitch, but you're like, we have to do our own styles, right? But I think for me, I'm getting like, because this is a little bit of a choppy presentation. I usually present it and then there isn't the stopping and the stuff, but I'm getting to the number together. Usually we get to this page and we go, well, what do you think your value is? Because we've already gone through the comparable pages. I've already explained to them where their value is. And if they don't say that's where their value is, well, there's a problem. And maybe I don't want to work with them, quite frank. And you tip like 99% of the time we get to this page and we're on the same page. Because if you do a good job with these pages, explaining the appraiser is going to come in, they want to look for this, then they want to do that. So if you get to that numbers page and they go, yeah, well, I just think I'm worth, if they're in love, that is not I don't know. Yeah. But if they do, and then that's when I do have that conversation. Maybe it is, well, obviously the comps say this, we're really taking a risk going out here. You're going to get less traffic. You're probably going to get less, then you talk about all that stuff. I took over 240 Jeunesse Street, Exit Realty Beatrice had it. Did we want that? She wanted 530. She was a bungalow and she was worth 475. I had a conversation with Derek Beatrice about it too. And I'm like, no, I agree with you. I didn't have like a lot of work at the time. I was like, I'll try it. And I took it on and she got 530 and it appraised. So like I sat there, I think we listed it at $499. I think it was $499. Maybe we listed it at. So when I told her, I prepped her like, there's comps, these are them, this is what you're gonna appraise
Right
at.
in the face.
And then they were right in my face, I was proven wrong. That's happened a few times, but like, and then like, of course I had to give a referral to exit because they were in a contract. So like, I just felt like, I felt so funny about it. I was like, what, how does that happen? Like, it works
Can I ask you
out.
a question about price? Because I'm just to digress for a quick second.
Yeah,
is,
please.
So I saw these pieces at $4.99.
Can everyone hear him?
So so
People price at $4.99. I said, well, why don't you just do 400? Because to me, part of my conversation with Mitch does is I'm about price bands. So at $4.99, we're capturing generically 475 to 500.
I agree.
If you price it at 500, now we're capturing two bandwidths, and we may not really want those people from 475 to 5, but quite often those people that are shopping there
Mhm.
recognize that they need to spend over 5, and then the people that are between 5 and
I've
525.
priced at
So-
505 before for that reason. Like, they were not gonna take under their price. They didn't even want to enter, so we,
Because I love the idea of just
you know.
grabbing. To me, guys, it's like we need so many people to see, smell, feel, taste your place.
Yep.
So by doing it 500, we're capturing a huge bandwidth. We don't really want those people, but they're going to help the psychological game in the open house and
If
everything.
your seller likes that type of thoughts,
Tactic,
then
yeah.
you're great. If your seller isn't, then it's.
Then just think it's like
Yeah.
505.
Yeah, and then like, let's admit it, the $9.99 works a lot of times too, you know? People just like that
Yeah.
stuff. No, I agree. People do price shop in price bands. So, back to the pages. So it's what's time check. It's 10:38. I do floor plans for every listing. The draft does not say every on it, just so everyone knows. Obviously, not everybody chooses to. I do floor plans, excuse me, for most every listing, I should say. So this is just talking about how I present their house, right? So all these pages are in the draft. You guys don't have to use them. First impression matters. Expect more Remax goes to our YouTube page, just so everybody knows. And this is where I say, you know, drone, depending on where the house is located. If it, like, I just had one that was on Fraser Field, and the guy got super excited for it. I'm like, can you picture the drone photo? He was like, oh my gosh, mind blowing. You're hired. Like, that was the moment for him.
And are you always observing costs on all the, on the drone?
I don't think of pricing of how I present the houses. I think they all get you future business. So if you think about a nickel here, you're going to get paid a penny over there. Like, it just, I try to just, whatever makes the client happy. And I do floor plans on every listing. The drone is weather temperament in the winter,
Yes, you
but I
cover
will do the
You
drone.
tend to cover those kinds of things.
And I cover the cost on them.
Even staging as far as.
Staging, I do not cover unless it's a big building.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the one thing I won't cover. Our seller did just stage a house, actually, so that's a good point, and he paid it. But that's a selling point. If someone's looking at a price band that's higher than I can support, first of all, if I can't support it, I'm not taking the listing. But if it's higher than I would like, I will bring to the fact that I do support the number you accept, because they'll hire another agent if they think you don't support the number. That agent didn't support my number. That agent did. So I'll tell them, I do support the number, and my proof is I'm going to pay for the video and the drone, and it's going to cost me upwards of $1,000 to compare and market your home. But I don't know if that number is true or
Yeah,
not,
yeah, so, yeah.
but I will exaggerate that number too. And to say, if your house doesn't sell, you don't pay me back. So that's my risk. So of course I believe in, that's my way of selling that I believe in their number. Because if they say they want 530 and I've kind of argued it, but then the next person's like all day, because they just want the
Yeah,
listing.
but they're not-
They don't have a presentation. They're just support. I got burnt once where someone got hired over me, but not because of my presentation. They said all day, you had the better presentation, but you didn't believe in my number. So my proof of believing in the number is the money I'm going to put towards their house. So that's another, I could have these classes like 10 days in a row, and I would say completely different things.
Absolutely, everything's your-
Every CMA is different. I
you
say
call it
different.
as you see
It depends on who you have to know your company. Actually, Stephanie Moore on my team, she was funny. Like last year, she did a CMA standing in the driveway, didn't use her computer, just held the book open and skipped right to the comp pages. She knew the seller didn't want to hear it. So she went right to the part he wanted to hear,
Everything's different.
standing in the driveway, because he had a roommate, I guess, inside. So she knew like he didn't want the roommate to know. So you got to kind of know your audience, and she got the listing. So the
Katie,
next piece, yes.
On the case of, like the video and drone, where we're spending that kind of money, do you believe it's a good practice if they decide to hire another agent that they are to absorb those costs? If they were to cancel the contract, how?
If they cancel the contract,
Yes, they were to absorb.
yeah,
this.
you can put that in your contract.
I've
that
done
in
this
your contract.
language on my presentations.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I add a language where if they were to cancel the contract, they were to absorb the costs of the photo, video, etc.
People to see.
Yeah, I mean, not the video.
Great.
I just mean
That's
like,
you.
I'm getting a lot of feedback. Yeah, I agree. I would agree with that type of practice, Lizette, completely. If you, especially like you know, for me, I just get a vibe with the person, which probably isn't the best thing to say, but it's just, that's how I work off of my gut with a person. If I don't trust them, definitely you want to put more verbiage protecting yourself. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with just saying if they cancel the contract with you, that you will get reimbursed. However, you want the seller to reimburse themselves or work it out with the next agent. Definitely, I would definitely secure a referral from the next agent if they were to let me go and hire someone else. So the virtual staging here, this is Box Brownie. We'll go over it in a little bit. These pages are in the draft. You're welcome to use these, or you can use your own. So these, the point of these is if it's you know, we're going to schedule photos. If it's a rainy day, don't worry about it. We can render the sun. You know, you can make it sunny. This was an apartment in Beverly, and we didn't really want to touch the guy's stuff. So we had it rendered out. And then virtual staging. This is a great story, Conant Road in Lynn. We had a super hard time selling it. The woman wanted a lot of money for it. It was a cape, and it was just a very hard sell. We put this furniture in it, and the mother of the buyer, the kid that bought it, said that it was the photos of the stage furniture that got them there. It came from Boston. The father worked on Wall Street. He put $100,000 into the basement for a recording studio. That was his requirement. Tall basement ceilings to put a recording studio in. And this house fit that. So anyway, I thought that was wicked interesting. And this is Range. Actually, Cursus just relisted this house. Custom landing pages for every listing. I purchased, as I've mentioned before, on GoDaddy. Like this is 29 Priscilla. So I purchased 29priscilla.com. You can also, you don't have to have this on your pages. If you don't do that, you can do the Remax link. Everyone knows there's that Remax URL shortener, or just take out the example and you can just show the example of the Remax landing pages. If you guys didn't know, the Remax pages are editable. If you do a video or Matterport, they are editable to add these things. So this is not an exaggeration. The page would look something like this. My open house presentation, I always love to brag that I love to use flags. No one's going to not see your open house. We do signs all the way down the street, and we love to do signs, flags on the main street, flags in front of the house. We do the social media marketing. We will walk the neighborhood. We'll invite the neighborhood to the open house. We're pretty aggressive. Postcard it. You guys can take all this out or leave it, whatever. This is in your draft. And pre-COVID, I would do a binder. So in this binder, and I didn't bring an example in, but it would just be the listing sheet, the lead form, the seller's disclosure, the deed, the plot plan, anything and everything I can find on the house. I'd ask the seller for receipts for heating costs. Is there a solar panel contract? It's all in that binder right there. It's just, I felt to the seller, I would say just make, and I'd bring the binder to the CMA to show them I'll have a binder just like this at your property. To them, this makes your house feel loved. The more information you can put in that binder, the better. Unfortunately, as I said, we don't do the binders. So now it's more paperless flyers. So everyone, we all have these now. So it's just show the paperless scan. Some people don't want to touch the flyers. I do find people do use these at my open houses. This is just to impress the seller and the CMA that how modern we are with all the stuff we do. Preparing your home for the listing. I do believe some of these were taken out of the draft because it's just a little bit too much. But as I told you, I do include the house cleaning service. This is in the draft. You guys don't have to include it, but it's kind of nice for you to be like, I have services I can help provide. If you would like, you can charge them. I think it's like $150. It's not that much money. Professional photos, floor plans, a personal URL page, drone, the coordination of contracts. We use dot loop. The draft looks a little different than this. This is an older CMA. I don't write lead capture anymore, but social media, print, open houses. I'm a full-time agent. I have a team, in the day of, I like to say, and you guys you can say it too, because you can say you're a part of a team. With the days of COVID, there's a chance I could get sick. So it's important to me that I work on a team and I have full-time agents around me that can step and assist if needed, because that is a concern for a lot of sellers. Like how does one person do it alone? So kind of like making yourself part of something bigger sometimes can help.
Katie?
Yes.
Sean's asking, what's the turnaround time with box brownie?
Depending on what it is. If it's furniture rendering, it can be, it's 48 hours from the time they receive it. And they're an Australian company, so I super get confused what that means. If it's just a quick rendering of turning the sky blue, I'll get it back within hours sometimes. So I'll get that within 24 hours, definitely. I like to do the twilight photos when it makes it look like it's sunset. That's the same. It's a quicker turnaround. But if you're putting furniture in or out, that takes a little bit longer. And then if you guys ever do new construction, they can render a drawing, or they can render what it would look like. For Blossom Street, if anyone saw it, I use Fiverr for Blossom Street to render what the building would look like after the fact. And I think Fiverr seems to be like intern. It feels like younger kids looking to make money. I found a good kid in there if anybody ever wants to use him. He lives in the Philippines. So I always accompany buyers. I don't give out lock boxes. That's a big thing I like to say here is I don't like to do it. I will trust agents within my office to use the lock box. I trust them to turn off the lights and to lock the door, but I don't trust outside agents I just don't. I've been burnt once, so I don't say that to them, but and then transaction coordination. I think that everyone can say you have a transaction coordinator, you have an admin. So transaction coordinating, e-signing platform. I always, sometimes depending on the person, if I really feel like I haven't landed it yet, I'll stop here and I'll say something on the lines of, you're going to get offers. Someone's going to do photos and make your house look great. But what happens when your house goes under contract to close? Sometimes that's the most important part that we don't stop and talk about. It's important that you vet the buyer, you call the lender, and I'll kind of scare them. That's my tact, right? I try to scare people. I try to convince them that I'm the most valuable because I know things can go wrong during times that maybe another agent isn't concerned about. I'll just say, you really want to make sure, is it an FHA buyer? Are they one TV purchase away from not being qualified, where this other buyer is more, I just try to make them feel like I'm super valuable at this moment if I'm still not sure I got the listing. So I personally use Google Drive. This is in the draft. You can delete it if you don't use it. But with COVID-19, a lot of sellers don't meet with me to review offers. So I share all the offers in Google Drive. So I put them all in the drive, and then I make an offer spreadsheet like this one. And that the two yellow ones were probably the highlighted top two offers.
You guys have a template for the spreadsheet that you can
Yes, we can share a template with the spreadsheet. I can put it in the CMA. It's not there now,
Yeah.
but Mitch just asked if we had a template for this, and really it would be the offer spreadsheet template. I was keeping track and signing in buyers on Google Drive, but then I was finding that I was writing discriminatory words. I was writing couple with the baby.
I use Open Home Pro.
Yep, I was using Open Home Pro for a while. That's a great app,
It's cool.
but because of
It says
it being
every effective.
here, I no longer sign people in because I'm so afraid something's going to happen with the listing and all the stuff will be given, and I'm going to have discriminatory words.
Like the Open Home Pro, what's cool is that you can set it up simple to sound like a thank you for coming and a hyperlink back to the.
So Mitch is saying Open Home Pro. So if I had it in the past as well, and you
That's cool.
basically have it on your iPad and people can sign in right on the iPad. I stopped using it during COVID because I didn't want people touching. You sign in people for them. So Open Home Pro, I think it's $25 a month. It's a great app that you can use. So water and smoke, I've decided to make this its own page because it's surprising still to me that a lot of people don't know that they need a complimentary water and a smoke certificate for close. I've had people hire me because of this page. They said that the other agents never even brought this up. Why would they? If you're not bringing a market analysis, it's hard to remember everything. So what's great about this is every page is a reminder on what to speak on, right? So I pay, I'll just tell you all what I do. I pay for the water reading, and I pay for the smoke certificate. So the smoke certificate is $50 and the water certificate is $40. It's complimentary. It's part of my service fee. It's the first time I bring up the word. My service fee is usually on this page. They have to pay for any smokes that need to be replaced or any hard wiring. And if for any reason the water meter needs to be replaced by the city will come out and do that for free. If the house is vacant, the big thing I love to say, if the house is vacant, the city of Lynn, I don't know if it's everywhere, but I know the city of Lynn is making you dig up the street to look at if there's a lead knob and connecting the street to the house So I think it's 6 months. If the house has been vacant, you're at risk, and it costs $5,000 for McGrath Company or what's that other company? We've had it priced out. It's $5,000. They dig down Conant Road. They had to do it, and it was replaced. It cost her $5,000 for them to look down and see that the knob was replaced. So, but having this information and telling it to the seller at these moments, they're like, what? It's like, you're valuable. You're telling them things that maybe the next agent isn't warning them about in this moment. So I had one on Richardson Road. It was vacant for over a year. The water department never caught it, and she was fine. So but technically she should have had to have dug up the street to see if it was.
And if it's not lead, do you still pay $5,000?
Well, you're paying the company to dig up the street,
Either
so
way,
you're paying them, yeah, either way. So
Yeah.
isn't that awful? So this, yeah, smoke and water, and then a couple social pages. I think I got this from a Terry class. I think this was in one of his
That's a good
CMA's
one.
ones, and then I've updated it every year. So we're probably way over 10,000 in network connections. I should probably count it out, because if you count all of our Facebook pages and all of our, you know what I mean, it would probably be a ton more. I don't use this page anymore. It was just about Facebook marketing. I don't use Facebook as much anymore, paying to boost, I mean, not so much to be guaranteeing it to my sellers right in the first meeting. So this page is not in the draft. We are the #1 real estate brokerage for the 8th straight year. This is in the draft. And this is the 2020 Remax versus the industry. Remax agents, this is a good page that if I feel the need to stop because I still don't know if I have it and they're really into the market analysis, I'll say, you know, on average, you can trust any Remax agent over any other brand agent, because we do more transaction sides than any other brand. Because on average, you got to think agents sell like 2 to 5 homes a year. Well, my team sells 115 a year. So like there's a difference in so whatever I want to say without being braggy.
And I tell them too, this is not a salesy piece. It's just simple data.
No,
It's
this
just
is facts. Mitch is saying this isn't salesy. This is data. So this page, I put my picture with my sign. The draft will just have the picture of the balloon. But I like having my D. Virgilio homes on the picture. And then we have, this is because I sell Lynn, so I like to show them, and we're the #1 office. I think this is a little outdated because we made it this year. Then I have my resume page. What I think would be really neat here, and I did it for a little while. I sold a house to Pam January and her boyfriend, and I used her as a reference, and I had her telephone number right here to call her if they wanted to know how they experience. How neat would that be if we actually gave a referral telephone number? I always think of that because we all have our fans.
As long as anybody will.
We all have the people that like us, right? It would, like, I would suggest maybe considering doing that. So here's net proceeds without these boxes is in the draft, because I do cover the water lien certificate, and I cover I feel like I've hit every box I can. Why would they not hire me? I go into this with such confidence. I've hit everything. I've looked at every public record. I'm going to pay for their water and smoke. I know about the flood zones and everything, every which other way. So we go over the fees. Hopefully it's 5%. I'm in a super competitive 4% market in Lynn, but I'm assuming most of us in this class are charging 5%. This mortgage discharge fee was 75. I think a lot of us know it went up to 105 in January. I got an updated net proceeds from a couple attorneys. I ran it by, and it was so long and complicated. It made more questions than answers. I'm still using this simple net proceeds because of it. It's the one I got because I worry of not having enough information and numbers for people, because there are more numbers sometimes than these. But at the end of the day, my new net proceeds was just too complicated that I am still using this. So the tax stamps, again, here's another one. None of the other agents that came told me about the tax stamps. And when I've asked them, oh, you chose me, like, may I ask, or they'll just tell me why. Sometimes it's because I told them about the tax stamps, because it's part of the decision making, and we'll fill in the numbers. I have the sheet in my folder here. We usually take it out and we fill it in. They are responsible for the final water bill, but I will pay for the water lien certificate. I use Mike Page. I'm sure a lot of people, I would prefer not to use him.
Yeah.
He can have bad bedside manners sometime, but he's the best. So he's $75 an hour. At least that's what he charges me. I don't know if he still charges that to everybody else. He was 50. And a lot of my sellers appreciate that. And I just tell them, I've had people go out and buy smoke detectors. It was like $500, and then they found out that they bought the wrong detector. So just use my guy. It's another thing to procure the listing at the end. is I'm going to handle the smoke detectors. I don't even want you thinking about it or touching them. I'll tell them, because I have a guy that will come, I'm going to pay his service fee, but he'll come in and if there's any,
You'll pay for
but
all
then
of it,
you'll
yes.
pay if there's any work needed, but you will not, but you will sign off on it, that
Yeah.
nothing will happen without you signing off on it. And then what's next? And then the last page on the draft, make sure you change the telephone number to your office telephone number.
The attorney fees you had in there, is it?
Yep. So I usually write it in and I'll say, because I know one of my attorneys charges $850 and another
Yeah.
attorney charges $1,200. So I'll range it 900 to 1,200 or 1,000, around 1,000 I'll write, and we'll write it to the side about 1,000. And I'll make it very clear with them, please ask what they charge.
Gotcha.
And sometimes if you're purchasing, it's one fee or maybe half a fee, that it's different if you're doing
Yeah.
two sides.
Just because that number was.
Yeah, where's the attorney fee? Oh, why is this?
That's what it's.
That's weird. There should, oh, I don't think there should be a number there.
So it's one, the attorney fees should be aligned with a dollar sign.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
think this was
I thought it
moved
was-
somehow because
what we-
the
no,
fee,
that's
that there's a
one.
line with next,
It's two lines.
I might have moved it.
Yeah, I thought it was just one, like, attorney, I'm like, what? Yeah.
I might have,
Oh, prep of deed is probably.
yeah.
That's cool. I'm sorry. I didn't realize-
Oh, the
Simple-
preparation of
simple.
deed is 120. The attorney fee I write over here. You're right. This is the preparation of deed, the 120. So there should be a line between there.
Get away.
And then, did somebody have a question? I just heard somebody. And that's really it. So, by the end of it, it's, we've already come to our number. We've gone through everything I'm going to do for them. I'm paying for all of it. And you're getting a free cleaning service before you clean. And if you feel like, if you already have a house cleaner, I'll clean the house on the way out, or I'll clean your next house. It's in one
Do
time
you want
fee.
it to be a one and done, or do you?
I bring this presentation and I walk the house with my sheet that I showed you guys at the beginning.
Yeah.
I fill it all in, and I know Lynn pretty well, so I don't really sell anywhere. And I say that to them. I don't feel the need to leave and come back. And they're like, oh, great. I say that to them before I go as well. Sometimes if I can mention the cleaning service on the phone, they won't call anybody else. Like honestly. So, and then some people make it clear. I've been told I have to sit with 3 people. So you're one of the 3. And I'm like, oh, may I ask if I'm the first or and they'll tell me.
You like to be the first or the third?
Third.
I don't know. Sometimes I like being the first because they'll say to me right then and there, I know I'm supposed to sit with the other 2, but I'm not gonna. Like, I hope for that.
Yeah,
Or of course I want to be last. You know what I mean? Like otherwise, because I've just smushed whatever that happens.
yeah.
Most people show up with Patriot Property sheet still,
Yeah.
like, and showing up with this just shows like the time and the effort and the care that I have put in versus what anyone else had just done.
Mhm.
I have so much confidence with this. Like this is like why I really do feel like why if I don't get the listing, it's because they have a relative and they just want to snoop. They want to snoop on what I would have done if they hired me, because they would have hired me otherwise.
My cousin did.
So I don't know. But I think anyone that has this presentation should feel confident.
Yeah.
It's not something that's really stealable, because if you just took this book and flipped through it, like, let's just, like, it's a lot of
So you-
pictures,
you try to
right?
get- you try to get signed a listing.
It's what I say during the presentation, not the presentation. Like, someone can try to emulate this all they want, but it's never going to be what we all do. Because everyone should make it their own and like how this is visually for me, someone else might want to make the pictures like different, you know what I mean? Like you can, you know what I mean? Like however you want to, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like everyone just makes it different. You can visually make it however you want to make this to be. Mine's a little, you know what I mean? Simple, but we can go over that when we're building it. So we're an hour into this. So everyone should have gotten the link. If you're interested in opening the link now, or if you're just part of this class just because you're curious, don't worry about it. So under the office draft, if you have Keynote here. So this is what the office draft looks like. It's very empty. And so, as I said, like the Lynn isn't the front of everybody's CMA. It's and you can put any picture you want there. The office page is the same. This would be your page. So if your resume, so my resume is mostly like my accolades and my real estate stuff. I'm not a college graduate, and it's kind of a little bit of a, I don't want to say it's an insecurity, but I'm not going to put anything about the colleges I didn't graduate from. So for somebody who did graduate from university, or if you're a member of the Knights of Columbus, the point of the resume page is to connect with the seller, period. And if it's with all the classes you've taken, great. If it's through the schools you've gone to, if it's a picture of your family or whatever, this doesn't have to be one thing. This can be whatever you want, whatever you find would connect you to the seller is what I think it should be. not everyone might have a Remax Alkalate thing, so you can just delete this page, which literally when you're on it, just click the delete button and the page will go away. So, and then if you ever delete and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to, you can do undo move, if you guys can see that, and that would bring the page back. So for example, oops, I deleted it. Edit, undo, delete slide. Here it's back again. So this is, again, I'm on Apple, so I'm teaching this on an Apple. So here are the other, the slides. So obviously this is the Patriot property page. And we'll go through these top pages today. And then we're gonna stop right about here. And then, because these would probably be down here anyway. Oh no, previous listing. These would be up here. I didn't have a previous listing for the CMA I just did, but I do show the previous listing. And on my CMA from the MLS, I will
Like when it
show the
sold
previous, yeah, when it sold last, I will show the listing and the interior photos and how long it was on market. I do take off the agent name because God forbid they just couldn't remember the agent's name. And here I am with their agent's name.
Like, I don't know. I don't know.
So that's a good point. I'm glad I'm seeing that now. And then these are Terry's charts here. This part from here to here, I'm not going to do today. That's for the next class because of the comping the house part and getting those pages, it's a little time consuming. I think next class we can do I'll show a different CMA maybe really quick, not as long as this. That all these pages are here for your use. For example, actually up here, you might want to put your own free home evaluation tool that would come from back at you. You might not want my picture on, so you put your own picture. And then down here, like it just says floor plans. You can edit any of these words. This template is editable. So when you download it and you have it open, you can change any of this. You can change the colors. If you don't want the balloon in the corner, you can have it not in the corner. You can put your own drone photos or your own professional photos, or you can leave these just for, this is all editable. This is the custom landing page that I have in currently, it looks like. I can actually give you back the Priscilla one if anyone prefers that. Carolyn, will you make sure I put the Priscilla page in the CMA Google Drive later? Because this is completely different. This is an OTBX page. I didn't realize I pulled this over to the draft. And then these circles are just a little bit more less bubbly than the ones we had. So these came from all these circles. There's I think 100 of them are under icon under Google Drive. I just bought them on Etsy for $8. So like everyone has access to these, and what you can do is just drag the picture of the icon you want instead over to the circle. And everything's movable. You can delete if you don't want certain things that are here. If maybe you want it to be red instead, and then bold. You can just change the look and feel of everything.
Are you able to save that page, the Google Drive page? How do I do that?
Are you able to save the Google Drive page?
Come back to it again. The Google Drive page that you sent us to.
Oh, it's underneath chat on the link is under chat on the Zoom.
Gotcha.
So under the chat button on the Zoom is where the link is to the Google Drive page.
And then save it on my computer, just add it as a.
Yeah, that's a big thing I should mention is and I'm gonna just start going into each page and how I built it is I have everything saved to my favorites bar. So my Google Drive is obviously my favorites bar, and I have a link to all my passwords. And then here's Patriot Properties, Salem Deeds, all of our maps. Like it's all just easy to click them right there. And then the rest of it is just the rest of the CMA. So, one page here I did. So here's the balloon page. It doesn't say Virgilio Homes. That's what it would look like for you guys. I did add the Remax Worldwide. I thought it's a neat page just to talk about it, depending on your client that we do have, we are a worldwide company. This is your recommendation page. If you're making a CMA and don't have time, you can delete it and build it later, or you can pop them in from Facebook, or if they are in Zillow, and you can just land them here, or maybe put it, like I said, a telephone number of a past client that they can call for a recommendation. Here is the seller's net proceeds. You can change this. I wrote smoke detector, pre-inspection recommended optional. You can charge them the $75 it costs to have them out. It depends on what you guys do. You don't have to have it included, and you can draw the lines with the dollar signs here. I just took out my boxes. And then last, make sure you add your office telephone number on the back page. This is the Lynn office telephone number. Obviously you want your office telephone number, and this is the draft. So really your homework would just be doing your, reviews. I can talk. You want to edit probably this picture here and then make a resume page. And then there you are, you have your draft, and you would just open this draft. The first thing you want to do when you start building a CMA, let's just say, oh, we have a CMA to build, somebody can get, I'll just use an address. You want to go to file and duplicate, because if you build it in the draft, it's no longer a draft. So the first thing you want to do is duplicate it. So I'm going to duplicate it. And let's see here. The 36 Scranton, no, I have a CMA too. We'll just do 10 East Park since I just built that one. And then I retitle it. I have mine, you can save it to the desktop. I have a Keynote file on my desktop. That's where I save all my keynotes too. You can save it right there. And then we're off and running. So I'm gonna put this side by side. Here. Oh, no, that's not it. That's the draft. Sorry about that. So 10 East Park. I want to find my, here it is, 10 East Park. So this is the one that was built versus the draft. Just to see it next to each other. So here's my resume page that you guys would have, resume page, and then public record. So this is what you're looking for, is the public record from Patriot Properties. So patriotproperties.com. I'm sure we're all familiar with that. And then the button here, Web Pro Property Search. I go to Lynn, and obviously PBD's not on here. PBD has their own, or depending on where you are, you have to go to, and then I write East Park, and I go to 10 East Park. So this is where I get the first page. So you look at it right there, and there it is, printable record card. And I just screenshot this right here. You can actually download this as a PDF, but I drag the house photo to my desktop, and I drag this to my desktop. So you can drag those. So those two, they're right on my desktop. I just grabbed it and dragged it over to my desktop. Command Shift 4 on an Apple, and I go up to the corner, and you drag it right whatever you want the picture to be. Command Shift 4, let go. That is now a screenshot on my desktop. So if you want it to be a little bit, maybe this shaped this way, you can move it in, move it out, just depends on, you know. I leave this page open and I go back. I go to interior. Now I'm doing this page here, right? I want this information. I just put that on my desktop. This is on my desktop. What I want is all this. So I want the building square footage, and I'm screenshotting this right here. So Command Shift. I like to screenshot everything, and then I go in and I put it in on the pages. That's my style, but you could go from page to page, screenshot, drag it over. So what I mean by that is, now that it's on my desktop, I can actually stop, and then I hope everyone can see my desktop. I just drag it over, and now it's in. And then from here, I can move it however I want.
Katie,
Yep,
when you screenshot, it automatically saves to your desktop?
it does.
Okay. So you
Does
don't
it not for some people? And I'm not a PC user. I'm not 100% sure with PCs. I know Yoshi's here right now, and he's super familiar with PCs. So if it's something that you need to sit with maybe Yoshi or someone to understand how the PowerPoint works. Unfortunately, I'm just not a PC person to talk on PowerPoint. So then here I go, and then here's the, so this page, actually, we didn't talk about this on it. I deleted it for this presentation because the owners have owned this house since probably it was built. They grew up here. So there was no MLS like past history. So I didn't put the MLS page, but what this page would be, because I'm so glad it came up because I skipped over it, is the MLS pin PDF public record. So if everyone knows what that is, I'm going to sign into MLS. And then I'm going to go down here to property history, or public record, actually. It's public record. No, that's not where I go. Is that it right there? Okay. I thought it was maybe, so it's not property, it's public record?
Which one are you going for, Katie?
I'm going for
The public
public
record? Yeah. And then you can get both. You can get the public record and
And the
Um,
previous listing here. There
and
is
all the,
no, huh, maybe it's East Park. You know, I didn't have it in here for a reason. Maybe it's because there wasn't one.
Are you
So let's,
search now, I think you're pressing add.
oh,
Yeah, so.
no
still
property
no.
match found. So typically, let's just say,
Park out for a second, see what works. Just-
Try E-Park.
just E, or just-
so
Katie,
this is what it would look like.
just type park, just type
Yeah,
park. for
I
Middle
just
Park.
typed another address just to see something. Typically, you would type the address in and here it would be. And you click on it and here it is. I click on PDF and I download this to the desktop. And then I would just click download, save. It won't pick up the second page. So if for any reason I want to show them this, I would have to screenshot this or download this, drag this page separately. But I just personally care about the top part. But if you are curious on what they may or may not owe on their mortgage, you can see it at the bottom. So that page that we just downloaded would be right. I put it in right here typically. So this, again, this doesn't match this property, but for the sake of just sticking it in there, there it is. So we already screenshot the square foot. I don't usually jump around. I like to just screenshot it all first again, but let's go back to Patriot Properties. Now we go to exterior. And then recently I've been screenshotting just these two pieces of information. I don't know why. I think it looks good. You know, you guys can screenshot anything you want that you think is informative or not. It's you know, it's your market analysis, but I've been screenshotting those two little tidbits and then permits. So this is where I saw that they had an addition put in 2012. So I just like showing up with being informed. Sometimes it will say roof or siding or repair. It's a good place to snoop if you have a buyer, if there was a permit pulled on the roof. So there's that. So all that would get pulled over. So now headed.
Put on your public record page.
Yep, that would all go to this page. I usually put the picture of the property here. Sometimes I put the picture of the property on the next page. So PP floor plan, that's the Patriot Property floor plan, this right here. Sometimes I'll put the picture of the house here if this has too much. Sometimes there's a lot of information. Sometimes there's, if it's a condo, there's no picture, there's like nothing for condos really.
So this is,
The template.
Say it again.
it's just, this is a little more time consuming, but.
I can put my example in the drive if that helps. I might want to put an example in that actually has the previous listing.
So.
So maybe I'll find, I have actually
Final product.
Scranton. Yeah, so I was gonna do this one today. I was gonna do this CMA. So this one is, this is Scranton. I haven't done the CMA yet. So this one we can, in this, I put an arrow towards the garage because there is a garage and it says 0. So I thought that was kind of, you know, informative. Clearly there's a garage. And then here's the arrow towards the plot plan. There it is. We have an arrow to where it is on the plot plan. There's the Google Maps, the Zestimate. For some reason, I had this page done first. I just haven't deleted it yet. And I decided to use this one instead. So you can do the Zillow. If you just do the Zillow, just like this, it's all up to your style. So, and then I thought I had a previous listing here. That's why I pulled it up and there is not one. So they must have purchased it close to the time of build or had it built. So where are we here? So back to this is East Park. So we want to go to the draft. So deed is next. So I'm sure everyone knows how to pull the deed, but just for the sake of doing it, I like to go to the Patriot Property and I'll just copy this. So this is up on my screen here, printable record. And the legal reference, book and page. So I copy this, Command C. This bar is in my way. And then I go to Salem Deeds. So it's on my favorite bar. I click it, and then it's always under here, book and page. And then I never remember the second, 254. 254. Salzman. And here's the deed. So I click on image, and this is the deed. So PDF, and I download it, drag it to the desktop, And then I arrow to the next page just to make sure there's nothing on the second page that's detrimental, and there really isn't. So you know, it's up to your style. Do you want the signature? Is this important to you to have on your thing or not? So that's done. This does reference, and I actually before this class went back in to look up the plot plan, and this is the only plot plan that can be located. So what I like to do is when, if you guys ever look up surveys under Salem deeds, so this does say how to find it and what book and where to find it, but just to save us time, it's not there. So I go under plans and engineering, survey. Oh no, I'm not gonna do the surveyor's name. I'm gonna do the street name, East Park. And then I'm just gonna go back. I think it's even earlier than that, 1840. Now, and I know it's right on Harvest Street, so I want to look for, oops, sorry. I got to go back to Lynn. I just caught that too. I know it's right next to Harvest Street, so I want to look for Harvest or East Park. It's searching. I think because I back arrowed, I messed it all up. It's not a Wi-Fi thing, is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So Falls, East Park Ave. I think this might actually be it because Falls Street is in the, no, that's not it. East Park, oh, Harvest, 1910. This is the correct year, but for some reason it's not the correct thing. It's funny. If you guys ever map this, Fall Street's way down and Harvest, it's like, how is that? I don't know. I just, this throws me for a loop, but but who knows? That means Alden is right here through the couple lots, but that means there's way more lots than that. So it doesn't make any sense to me, but I didn't mention it to the seller. There's no reason to be, you know, I didn't want to be like that. So I put it in, and then again, it depends on, you can cover the balloon, you can make the whole size of the page, you can make it smaller. This is just playing around with Keynote. I can make it with a black surround, or I can, you know, make it stand. It just depends on how you like to use Keynote or PowerPoint. Google Maps, I love it when it's trash day or there's somebody walking by on the Google Maps. Like that's the best part, because then like who else is showing them that there was that stuff, you know? And usually it's from 2012, so the trash day meant no green containers. So literally I just write up in the search bar 10 East Park, Lynn, and it brings you to the street walk. And I arrow it over. And I know that's the house right there. It looks like this garage came with the house. So I actually screenshot this was what I brought with me because I didn't know any better. And yeah, and I had a conversation with him that said, you know, a lot of people are going to drive by or they're going to think that this garage comes with the house. So we have to be, you know, we want to be leery of that. This is a gate that opens to a 1 or 2 car parking spot. And these bushes overtook the whole property, the front and the back. This was their first Christmas tree.
No.
They planted it in the backyard after.
Wow.
Isn't that funny?
That's cool.
So depending on like what's going on, I'll, you know, look at the, because, you know, the point is anyone can walk the neighborhood. So if there's anything funny going on in the neighborhood while they drove, I like to show it. So this one.
The seller was actually in the picture at the mail truck.
Al had a property that he sold when I first met him, and I went on the Google Maps, and there was a girl climbing out the window, and she was not attracted. Like it was not wearing clothes that she should be wearing. I was like, I contacted Zillow because that's where I was concerned about it at the time, and they blurred it out. But she was climbing out the second floor window. She must have been going out to the roof to smoke a butt or something. Like it had to be. So the point of the Google is the next page is the flood maps. So I like to scare people with with the flood zones, right? That's my, so depending on what it looks like, you know, so a lot of people know there's flood zones in like Boston Street and like funny areas and Lynn. So that's what I like to bring up, and they, oh yeah, I saw that on the news. So I'll screenshot something wide. And then if there's something close to the house, I'll screenshot something a little closer, but this is really just, you know, super close houses. So I just zoom in as close as I can to the house and I screenshot the house. So that's on my desktop, but I pull it over to Google Maps. Oliver Maps, I got that from Terry. Um,
Awesome, awesome.
all of our maps. This is the next page, right here, search for location, 10 East Park. Lynn, that's all you have to write, click enter, and then it says, is this the house? Yep, zoom to center. So I'll do the same thing, because I want the page to be similar to the Google page. I'll screenshot just the property. Now, just so this line right here means there's probably ledge. So I love it when I see a property and there's like the contour lines, and I'll say like, I knew coming here, you probably had ledge out back. Or if it's snowy or we're not heading out back, I'll say you probably have a drop off out back. We do. How do you know that? Well, here's the Oliver maps. Like I love those little things that you can, whatever you can say to impress them, right? We're close to the Clark Street playground, but really I think the next one is just to get the floating bridge pond and Foster's Dam. It's a rural area. It's not much to see there. So here's the Zillow. So this actually, I just go to Zillow Realtor Redfin, and I just screenshot.
Show folks how to get to the flood zone map on that.
Oh, you're right. I didn't do that, did I? So sorry. So the flood zone is the most important page, right? All I do is write the word flood right here, and it starts coming up, and then you click enter.
Oh, that's what, I usually just, I usually open up that first file at the top, it says tiled layers.
Yep, tiled layers, and you go to FEMA. Okay, yep.
Otherwise you could just
So
type
tiled
in.
layers, FEMA. I just write the word flood, it comes up, click enter. You don't even have to like use your cursor to go down to it. You just
There's
click
so many
enter,
cool things that do.
right?
But
So there's the flood maps. We definitely want to screenshot that to be like, and look, you are not in a flood zone. And a lot of people might think you are. Like, whatever, I don't know. I like to just like, that's my thing. Maybe it's not right, but I like to talk like flood zones are a major concern.
Yeah.
Zillow. So now I just go to the 3 pages. 10 East Park, Lynn. It should drop down, so I think if I click enter, it might not go to it. Oh, it did, okay. So this is gonna be different because it already sold, but I wanna screenshot the Zestimate. They have a little equity there according to Zestimate. So if you prefer just to do Zillow, this is great. You could screenshot this whole thing right here. That would be, and then I used to like to screenshot this whole thing because if yours is estimated at 600,000, but everybody in the neighborhood's estimated at like 450, well, maybe you altered the Zillow a little bit because you're the same stature of house as everybody else. So
Yeah.
depending on what your goal is, you could screenshot this picture as well. And there are some pretty cool charts on Zillow that Zillow does have. Well, it's just, this is a different listing, but if you scroll down on the listing, oh, it's different now, but they do have some charts and stuff. So it just depends on what kind of information you want. So realtor.com, they also have a Zestimate tool. 10 East Park. Redfin's usually the highest. And this shows who last sold for. So this doesn't even have a Zestimate because it just sold, but that's okay. Just for the sake of building this, I'll screenshot last sold for. And then Redfin. Redfin is usually the highest. Here, yep, and it is. So if you can have a separate page for all these, just be like, hey, let's talk about these estimates and why we can't listen to this. Maybe you had a phone conversation with them. And then the previous listing, I know that there is no previous listing for this property, but I literally just download the listing and then I screenshot the photos. So for example, listings, let's just say I was looking into it and this is the listing here. I just click the PDF button here. Download it. When you download this, it's fine, but you can only drag the front page into the Keynote. So then you can scroll down and go, all right, well, this is neat because it shows that it sold, it was under agreement in 3 days. So I'm going to screenshot that. And then they might, well, I love this because you're sitting with the seller. They go, oh my gosh, we actually got in early and we smoothed with the agent. And then all of a sudden you want them all excited talking to you. So this, whenever I screenshot this, it tends to strike in for, oh my gosh, we heard it was under agreement 3 times before us, or like people like talking about, and then I like to show them the pictures of their previous listing. So this is a property I have live right now, but I'll screenshot these, and then I'll screen all of them, every single picture. Because typically a conversation will happen. Oh my gosh, remember honey, when that purple bathroom, oh my gosh, can I keep this? Do you have access to that picture? Oh my gosh, it's in this book that I'm leaving with you. It's anything that you can get them excited and talking. And usually these pictures do it. So I screenshot all the pictures of the previous listing. So I didn't do that with this property, so we don't have access because there wasn't a previous listing. So I just click delete on the slide and they're gone.
So is it more about, is it a bit more about the memory of it and what it looked like versus what
I'm building a relationship with the
Yeah,
sellers,
yeah,
however possible.
Yeah.
I'm getting them to like me and want to use me and finding me of value,
It's
you know?
it's not a point of like, oh my God, look how bad how bad it was presented and we're gonna be.
I
presenting
love,
later.
I love the pictures sometimes because what it does is, you see this picture here, how empty the counters are? Oh my, if I could show you what it looks like previous. Now, when you go to list your house, I'm gonna wanna come over and we're gonna, oh my, you'll do that with me? You'll come over and tell me how to stay. So that, you know what I mean? Like, cause it just shows the pictures and sometimes you can say, it's really important. Like, look how depersonal and how spacious that looks versus if all your stuff on the counter.
Katie,
Right.
we have a question. Pam was asking how long you usually meet with the seller.
On average, it's probably an hour, maybe. Colby. Is Colby still there? How long do you
Yep.
think? 'Cause Colby comes with me like quite a lot. So Colby will take the notes and I'll walk around and be like, Colby, write that down. I went alone on a couple recently. I'd say it depends, but on average, an hour. It could be 2
Yeah,
hours. it could be
about
half
an hour. It depends on how chatty the seller is, basically.
Yep. And we want to mimic what they are, right? If they're not chatty, they probably don't want you to be. So I try, you got to know your audience and what they want from you. I can make this as easy, I can make this as short or as long as you want. Like, like we can do this and I can hold it up like this, or we can sit and look at the computer, or we cannot even look at it at all. Like, it's just whatever they want, they get. Yeah, so, and then that's the front pages. So these pages here, as I mentioned, are the Terry charts, which I'll go over when we comp it. But that's really it. So I think the big thing is if you can get your resume and like with your photo, I'll just show mine again if I can locate it. I have so much going on my desktop right now. So here's Scranton. I'm going to be doing this one next week. Here's my resume page. It's as I said, it's a very heavy real estate classes, awards, and there's nothing really personal about me, but it's however you personally want. You can make 2 pages. You can make a real estate resume page and you can make a education page, or outside real estate, your family page is my wife and children. And that's the front part of it. That's really, so we made really good timing. We still have a half an hour, so I can take lots of questions. Oh, one more thing I want to mention. When I leave the market analysis, I send an email. So if you guys are familiar with Gmail, I use templates. Zosha taught me how to do this. Compose. I have a saved template that's called CMA follow-up. And it's already pre-written and I have to change the subject. And it's usually 10 East Park, thank you, or his name and thank you, or whatever. And hi, his name, thanks for taking the time today. So I send the email that day to show me around your home. I'd love to earn your business. Hey, if I already know it, maybe it doesn't feels like it's pre-written, I'll delete it and rewrite it because we had a different conversation. And here's some examples. These go to links. This goes to my team Facebook and then a lot of the company stuff. Please let me know if you have any questions or concern. Please stay in touch. And I attached the CMA as a PDF. It's too big to just attach. You have to compress it. So I compress it under smallpdf.com. And then I attach it here at smaller. So when you're under Keynote, you can go to File, Export, PDF. But that PDF on your desktop is huge and it ends up going to Google Drive if you use Gmail. So if you don't know, this guy used AOL, I remember. So I wanted to compress it smaller so he could take, and he would send it to some of his siblings. He already hired me, but they later got back to me like, wow, that was great. Now I think it's funny that the siblings open, it's really not, so it really is truly a presentation. To open it and flip through it is a little fruity to me. It's a whole lot of pictures, right? It really is. the experience of sitting and going through all the pages and getting to a number together, and really they have no choice but to hire you at the end. So, yeah, that's it. So
And you're
that, there's the
giving
email.
You're come with your listing paperwork too, right there?
I have a set in my car, but I love the non-pressure. I don't like,
So you don't do the ask.
I got 8 Melvin Ave because I never asked.
Hmm.
The agents that he interviewed, like 6 agents per,
Oh.
there were 12 siblings or something, and he was in charge. And every agent, I followed up with them every month because it was a long play. But every agent said, you know, you really need to list now. Now is the time, and this is why, and it's a hot market. And I just said, Paul, I'm here for you. Anything you need, whether you list or not, because I thought he was at risk for maybe not getting, and no one getting business. He might keep the house.
Yeah.
It wasn't in his best interest to keep the house. But I just kept on saying to him, I'm here for you. If you have any questions, I'm going to follow up with you again in 3 weeks. And then I would write him another email. Or I'd give him, I'm going to give you, I'd like make an appointment, even if he didn't respond.
Because the reality is if
I'm
you're
going to
gonna use
call
it, you're
you.
gonna use
And
it.
then he said to me at the end, you know, I just got your email. He called me right after the email. And I just want to say, I got a call just yesterday from one of the agents, and you're hired. I really appreciate how you were not pressureful with the contract part of it. You sent them to me to take a look at if I had any questions. I didn't know it, but he was an attorney. So he, like, you know, doesn't, you know, whatever. He has that different mind frame. Long story longer, I'll either leave contracts behind, if I do have them with me, I'll say, I have a set of contracts here. If you'd like to take a look at them for any questions. I used to do that, but then it's just awkward because then I've left contracts with them and they didn't sign them, right?
Yeah,
So
like leaving the
I
contract.
don't even bring, and I usually say that, I don't even bring contracts. If I do everything on dot loop, I'm happy to come over for wet signatures. It's not that I'm not personal, but a lot of people tend to enjoy the dot loop. It's a legal signature. I can forward them to you by PDF. Sometimes in that email follow-up, as discussed, here's a copy of the contracts. I'll only send the contract. I don't send the lead form and all the hoo-ha. And any questions, just let me know. We have rental stuff in the contract. Sometimes people, I'll cross it right out. Makes them feel good when you're crossing stuff out on the contract.
I like crossing out the retainer. Oh, I don't do that.
I think I need to do a better job of getting the contract signed sooner, because sometimes I'll do photos and draw and go, oh crap, I don't even have the contract signed, you know, like, so I do admit, like, I'm not perfect, but yeah, like it would be nice to get them right then and there. I've had people say, oh, do you have contracts I'm ready to sign? I'm like, crap, no, I don't. You know, so I do have a set in my car for that reason. I can go out and get them. It takes a long time when you're like sitting filling them out.
Absolutely.
I like the dot loop better. If I was like Zosha, I could probably do it right on my phone and just have them click and sign, right? Because she can do that.
Which listing appointment do you want? If there's 3 agents being interviewed, do you want the first, second, or third?
I know somebody asked that. I think the bottom line answer is third, but sometimes I don't mind first, because if you can really win them on the first, they won't even really consider the second or third, or the second and third become a joke if they don't have anything with them. I've heard that, like, I was the first once, and then somebody came and walked through the house and left, and they were super confused because they never said anything. They never said why they were leaving. They said, thank you very much. I'll get back in touch with you. And then he said, I would like a chance to find out, like, what's going on with that agent. Like, why, like, they didn't prep the person. So I, like, being first in that case helped me, where I think if I was last, I don't know, you know, because I'm one and done. I go once. I don't go twice. I don't, unless it's like a house. I'm like, wow, something happened recently where I went to a house and I had to throw my CMA away. It was something I didn't expect. And my CMA was, it was 22 Sheeton Road. I'm listing it actually. It's like a $600,000 house. I thought it was like a 350, 400 house. I did not know how big that. I walked in and it just was like, what? So I had to get rid of the CMA and start from scratch. And I did leave and redo the CMA and come back. But I don't think they were going to hire. They are, you know, I've met the guy a couple of times. I don't think he was interviewing anyone else, but that's the thing. Yeah, I think so. It's tough. Like, sometimes first isn't bad. I don't, you know, I don't like being second. I will say that. I like being first or last.
Being second.
If you're the last one, you can be like, all right, well, now that I'm the last agent, you can tell me now that you want to hire. Sometimes when I'm the last agent, they'll say, well, I'm still waiting on some information from the first one. But or they'll say, you know what, I'm 95% sure that you're hired. I just want time to digest all this first and see if I have any questions. Like, they don't want to commit to me right there, but they've already told me I'm like, I'll hear that a lot. I think the CMA it just depends. I mean, it might not be everybody's thing, like, because it's a very visual, or maybe you just don't want to have to build it or deal with it in a way, but why wouldn't we get hired with something like this, right? So any question, I know that not everybody has Apple, but like for an instance here, the arrow is up here. Oops, sorry, that's text, shape. And I use this arrow here. And then right here is, you can make it larger and then you can change its color. I typically gravitate towards red. And then the circles. So when we're comping it later, or if for any reason you want to circle something maybe here, I go to shape, circle, fill, no fill, and then I change it to red. And it's a little bit faint, so I make it a little bolder. And you can change the size of it. You got to click here where the red is, or else it doesn't move. But if you got to click it there, so what, you know, for whatever I want to circle or highlight.
Katie,
Yes.
do you have any, so it seems that recently the sellers I've talked to all don't know where they're going yet, or or they want to sell, but so that kind of takes over the CMA conversation, like, okay, we want to sell, but we need to buy at the same time. And
So what I say is,
what do
we
you
gotta
have?
get, we gotta get this. So very common. A lot of people have to sell to buy. So the most important thing we need to focus on is getting your house ready. So let's sign contracts. I'm going to have your house professionally cleaned and stage the house, because you're up against offers that don't have home sale contingencies. So I need to be able to flip the switch and go live. And not only that, I want to send them to your customized website landing page that's ready to go. It's already live. I'm just waiting to direct people to it. With photos, drone, this, that. The goal is get them in a contract. And then that's really what it is at the end of the day. And then once you have them professionally, their photos and everything all ready to go, and then they can start going out and shopping, right? And then we all know maybe they're not getting their offers accepted because they have a home sale contingency, and maybe you can get them into a rental and then you sell their house. But the goal is, you know, I mean, that's a big conversation. I have a couple listings pocketed right now because they're out looking, and I'm not gonna be able to sell their house until they find something. And in this market,
You ever suggest they talk to their bank about being a little
always
aggressive about getting like a HELOC to get into a
Yep.
purchase and sale agreement? Because
Mitch is just saying, do you ever talk to the lender about maybe getting them like a bridge loan or a HELOC?
So yeah, and that's actually, so what I was thinking about doing, and the reason I was asking is because I didn't know if you already had something, is I was gonna maybe put together like rental pages or something.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
get the information handy. I mean, have you done anything like that
I
yet?
never made a page, but you know, a lot of people know that I lived at the Bradley just a year or so ago. And what's neat about the Bradley up in Danvers is they will let you break your lease.
the
So
one up on the hill.
the one up at the old, the old insane asylum is the crazy, we lived at the crazy house. It's a 1 month rent to cancel, which is, you know, depending on what you're renting, and you can rent a garage up there if you want a garage. The garage could be your storage unit, essentially, if you didn't want to move completely in. And then you know, if you sign a year's lease, you're only at risk at losing 1 month's rent. So you could find out like that. I could have a page on the Bradley, for example, and then show them a few other places that might allow to break a lease as well, or do a month to, I don't know places that do month to month, unfortunately, but I do know the Bradley will let you break your lease so they can continue shopping. That's a really good idea.
When I broke my lease at the Landing, they charged me 2 months rent.
Yeah, to know what the break is a good thing, but the bottom line is it puts them in the position to get the house, period. That's the goal. Unfortunately, the market's stupid right now.
Well, I feel like some people don't want to list until they kind of have an idea of what their options are. So
I don't know if I want to list somebody's house knowing they have a home sale contingency. I'm doing that actually next week.
Well, actually, it's suitable housing clause and home.
I have a suitable housing clause on Glenwood, but they're moving to South Carolina or something. But it's like, it's nerve wracking. They don't know, they don't have a place to live yet, and I'm going to list their house. It's like, it's tough to.
I think you just make sure the offer, when it's written, I usually do, the offer is written. It's like, yeah, we're going to close March 3rd, but then you put another if then statement, a built-in extension in the offer already, so you already know you're not going to be praying for someone to give you an extension.
Right. No, I agree. Any other I can't think of anything else that I'm missing here.
On the rental side, Katie, you're gonna get feedback because I'm sitting in the same room, but I want everyone to hear this. I'm gonna see if, so everyone's not repeating the same process. I'll maybe get the interns to do a little project of collecting some information from some of the larger rental places on the North Shore and put it to one sheet that we can share with all agents that have just the basic information, so we're not all recreating the wheel here. Just give us, you know, 2-3 weeks to put the project together, and we'll try to put together a handful of locations on the North Shore that we
Maybe
know.
that would be good to put in the folder. If, you
Yeah.
know,
Yes,
if you
that
did,
we
if you
can
did
share.
decide to go with the folder thing, you could put the rentals in here, because you never know if the person needs a rental until you meet them.
Yeah.
And
So
actually,
we'll put that together over the next, I'll put that on their list of one of their upcoming projects to start working on the next few weeks.
and
And we'll
actually,
share that when we have it.
and actually, Carolyn, this is Erin. Can I give you one more project to give them that's kind of related to this? There's a little, no, there's a lot of people that are going to have to sell soon that are downsizing. Once they get their vaccine, they're going to want to list. Could we get the interns to put together a list of the over 55 plus communities, plus any one level living condos or garden style properties? Because I've been asked for that a couple times, and it takes a long time to sift through all of them. You know, there's obvious ones.
Yeah, we can do that. I think if we're gonna do that, what we'll start with was maybe I'll email out all of our current agents and people can give me feedback on what they're aware of. So, and then we'll start to compile from there,
I
but
have
we
a
can put
list of,
something
like,
together.
20,
It's not gonna be all inclusive of everything, but
Yeah.
I'll reach out and try to get what people know, and have something to put together to start with.
So I just pulled up one more CMA. I'm just gonna I can't believe how fast this went. I thought we'd be overtime, but it looks like we're gonna be under time. This is a house that I just put under agreement on Maple Street. So this one should have the pages in it. And I'll screenplay it large. So here's the main page, my team. Why is it? Colby is on my team. Resume page. I shine like a diamond. Patriot Properties, 1 full bath, 1 3/4 bath. So that's all correct. It is a 2-bedroom house. The square footage seems to be correct. Here's the public record from the MLS, which seems to match exactly. It does show that there's, they bought it in 1997. The picture of the house, all this looks correct. There even was Christmas lights hanging on the house when I showed up on the front, just like this picture. The basement is about 40% finished. I'd say the basement's like 70% finished, so that was a little off. Here's just the plot of the house. Here's the deed from 2000, it looks like, and the location of the house. That is Fraser Field and Manning Field right there. It's right abutting it.
Katie, just
There
curious.
is, yep.
Did because the house was empty, is this a situation where you had to find them suitable housing before you listed it, or did they rent? Or?
No, this was a vacant house. His parents lived here. He is the estate representative. It was very difficult talking to this gentleman. He assured me that they went through probate, but we're trying to still figure out if he did. George Markopoulos is on it. George told me it was all set because I didn't go live. I spoke to at least his hired counsel, but now it's coming back around again. I'm like, George, I told you I didn't trust this guy. So we'll see. So anyway, this had a huge back lot. So he lives, I think, on Jeunesse Street. He lives local. This was just his parents lived here. Here's the floods map, which this one's awesome, right? You can see the big flood zone on the other side of the field. You can see the contour of the land, and it drops down where you see the contour. So it's super interesting. I did this CMA in the kitchen because there was no counter, and he actually enjoyed it. So I was able to go through every page. It was nice. I just did the Zillow. This is the previous listing. It was Connor Real Estate because he was all confused why it was listed as a 3-bedroom, why I couldn't list it as a 3-bedroom. And I was like, because he's a liar. Because there's an illegal bedroom in the basement. I said, honestly, I could. MLS doesn't care. It's just you're not going to appraise at that value. So he understood. We went as a 2-bedroom. He never interviewed with anybody else after we did this. Here's my Terry charts. And then the comps. I thought he was worth like 350 to 375. He said, well, I talked to my family and we think we're worth 430, 420. I go, well, let me tell you why you're not worth that. And we hashed it out and he didn't care what I had to say. So I had to decide if I was gonna take the listing at, and I was gonna list it at 399. I go, you know what? I'm gonna go nuts on this property. And if anyone saw me, did anyone see this property online? Oh my God.
So you went like crazy.
I went all out on my marketing. I don't know if it's gonna appraise.
Is this $1 million home you said?
I got 435. Look at OTBX, what they did for this house. It's like, oh my God. And then,
But what's cool,
it's in
sometimes the
Matterport.
appraisers- The appraisers see this stuff and it can really help them too.
If it's a drive, I hope it's a
Yeah.
drive-by.
Yeah.
We'll be in luck. Check out the video. They go by the numbers of the rusty stick-on numbers with the wood that's holding the mailbox together. And it looks somehow nice. Here it is. How does that look nice? Like they made the house look like. The owner even said lipstick on a pig. 2-bedroom on Maple Street. 435. So it's conventional with the 20% down. We'll see what happens, but bottom line. And then, so this was a weird one that I had to actually make the decision if I was willing to take the listing because it was priced like higher than any comp I had here. And then the house was so dingy. It needs a roof. It needs the new heating system. It's oil heat. Like it just.
Were people wild about the big back lot?
Yes, I think the buyer, actually, I don't know. The buyer had her brother-in-law who wasn't the agent, but his brother was the agent. And this house is good for her. I think she'll take it. And they laughed. I was like, that was weird. And he meant it. He meant it. They were gonna.
Probably gonna give her money back.
Yeah, they were Indian. Not that that matters. I don't want to, they just knew, they seemed to understand the area and they went for it. So anyway, so these are my comps pages. And this page, so here's a good point to make. When you print this, you have to keep in mind the order of the pages because I want this to be on the top and this to be on the bottom. I don't want someone to have to flip to the other chart. So when you even odd. So the front page is odd. I don't know if you can see me on the side or not. And then you open it. So it's page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's even at the top, odds at the bottom. So I only had 2 pages with comps. So I want that to be top, bottom. And then it goes into top, bottom. So I had to insert a page, bottom line. So mentally, I have to remember even odd when I'm building this. And this page is sometimes a little awkward when you get to it because you're ready to jump into the comps and then, oh, wait, and then here's this page too. But, and here's Maple Street. I had to put that one. Evens at the top because odd's the front cover and then you open and the top's even and then odd. If anybody wants to make an appointment with Zosha for 30 minutes, she will help with your resume page and she'll set your computer up to print the correct way. My computer says CMA. So it's in color and prints the correct angle.
So Zosha will sit with you.
Zosha, so make a 30-minute appointment. Not only will she help you with build your resume or she'll help you build your referral page. So if you're like, oh, I wish someone would just help me with it.
That's what I need.
Make a 30-minute appointment and then you can sit there. She'll do it for you, but on your command on what are your accolades? Well, then she'll Google and she'll find the symbols that will help. And then it will be a time saver for you. And then she'll set your computer up to print because that was very hard for me to every time figure out how to print it so it's facing the correct direction. That she can zoom too, yeah. And then I'm just going to scroll down. This is an older CMA again. I had I didn't update the CMA, so here's the bottom pages are all the same. So we don't have to go over these. We know what they are. He did like this page again, and most sellers do. They want the net proceeds. They want to know, oh, well, what do I owe for money at the end? And
What am I gonna get?
so then I distract them with the tax stamps and they go, and the big question is that your fee? No, that's not my fee. That's the state of Massachusetts thing. So it's like, the same questions usually come up. This is from 2018. But if anybody's interested in this page, I think it's a little dated now, but I used to love this page because it shows that we're not only the #1 real estate franchise, but we're on the top 5 franchises. We're not anymore. So but in 2018 we were. So I hope this was helpful and I hope that anyone that's interested in doing this, I'm happy to do more of a one-on-one. The next class, so next week is social media advanced. The week after, we're going to do the comping pages. So even if you use IMAX for your comping pages and you're going to pull those over, it's just nice to listen in on what somebody else does. So, you know what I mean? Like any tidbits that anyone can get from this is great. And then if you do want to use this, we're happy to help set you up, you know, to get you off and running with it. And again, the binding machine is in every office that to make this binding cover. And then you just need to get folders. I have Lynn folders I'm happy to share with people, but I'm sure you don't want Lynn, downtown Lynn Boys and Girls Club on your on your folder, but.
For those of you who joined late, I just wanted to reiterate that we did record this call. I'm going to post it up on our private YouTube page and we'll share it for a limited amount of time. We just want to make sure that we're keeping all this information within the company. So we don't want it just to stay out there publicly for everyone to see. So I will be sharing this link. Initially, we'll probably share it for about 48 hours and then I'm going to remove it from the public view. And then anytime you want to see the link after that, you can just reach out and email me and I'll share that private link with you. So if you do you want to look at it 2 weeks from now or a month from now or 2 months from now, the link will always be available. It's just not going to be publicly available all the time. So feel free to reach out to me anytime you want access to that link beyond the limited amount of time we're going to share it initially.
Yeah. So I think that's it for today. And then, so next class we'll do the overview of the comping pages. And then from there, if anybody feels like we should do it again and start from the beginning, or if you want a class specifically on using Keynote maybe. And then if anybody needs help with the PC, just let Carolyn know and we can figure out maybe if Yoshi or somebody that knows PC can help assist people with the PC. I think Zosha is actually okay with PC as well. So if you make a 30-minute with her, she can do either. She has a PC and she hasn't, of course she does, right? Naturally. Yeah, so that's it. Cool.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Katie.
Carolyn, the rentals across from the Salem Hospital on Highland Avenue, and right now I'm having a brain freeze on the name. I know because of the
I
P.
can't hear Barbara.
They'll do short-term rentals.
I can't hear
Oh.
Barbara because she's on yours.
Let me turn mine down.
Katie, can you hear me?
I just
All right.
can't hear because I don't have my volume up. So you
Oh,
don't
let me
feedback.
turn my volume up.
You're the only one who can hear.
Sorry. Oh,
Can you hear me, Carolyn, or no?
I didn't hear you. Can you say it again?
Okay, what I was saying is I'm having a brain freeze on the exact name, but across the street from Salem Hospital is a rental place that will do short-term rentals. I've used them. You can either bring your own furniture or they will rent you a space with furniture. So it would be one of the places I'd have the interns check and see if they're still doing that with COVID. I've used it for the 26 years I've been doing this, but the last year I haven't used it at all. But they would do 1, 2, 3. I mean, they do a year if you wanted it, but they would give you TV and toaster and all that, the cleaning service, depending on what you wanted. And I've used it both for clients that bought but needed to do some renovation before they could move in, or sellers that got it sold but didn't have the new place yet. So that would be one I'd put on the list to check and see if it still is there.
Great,
As
thanks.
usable, you know, as a short term. I know they're long term. Does that make sense?
Yep,
Okay.
yeah, if anyone knows of any other rentals, feel free to email me or email interns@Homes of MA and we'll start putting that list together. And once we have it, once we've collected a good amount of information, we'll share that with everyone.
Great. I just know they have been very good in the Salem, Lynn, Swampscott market, helping us with getting short-term in the past. So, all right, thanks.
that's awesome. Because no one ever, I don't know of any, so it's great to know. Cool. I can't believe it's not even 12 yet and we're done. This is amazing. The social class would still be going.
Did you say you would be able to share like the finished products?
Yes, I'm gonna put a couple of them and I'll put